Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank Xpert app for inviting me for this session. And today I'm going to speak, as you all know, on corporate communication and also how the transition can be smooth from your campus, which means that when you're a student to when you reach a corporate entity, an organization. So what typically happens is when you're a student, whether in school especially, and then after college, so what happens typically is you are into a comfort zone. You are, in midst of your known people. You are in midst of your family, your friend, uh, and from that, once you want to join a job, what happens, the transition is very drastic. It's a complete world altogether. It's complete, uh, it's a wonderland sort of a thing. At times you get confused. And now what happens is you don't really understand what the corporate world is. It is quite tough, even if it's very enjoyable. Tough, why I'm saying, I'll come to it later, that you change as a person. So as an individual also you need to change to be a very good professional, to be a very successful professional. So that transition can be smooth if you are well prepared, if you are prepared in advance. So what happens is you don't get a really heavy jolt, and you can sail through comfortably. You can be a good professional. You can be a thorough professional. uh, so I'll come to that later. Now, corporate communication. I'm really happy if people ask me to speak on corporate communication, because it is one of the most dynamic subjects, avenues, whatever you call. It has a lot of vibrancy. It has a lot of newness to it. Only thing is that you have to uh, be a human being who loves to do something new, who wants to learn, who wants to keep the knowledge window open always, not only sticking to your job, which is given at your workplace, but you want to do more. You have the appetite, you have the hunger to know more, to do something new, innovative. The beauty of corporate communication is, and the reason why I have taken this as my career is, it has, anything you do, it is different from your earlier work. So that is the uniqueness of corporate communication. You have to be alert 24/7. You have to be there. At times you're, pushed towards the edge, but then you need to, revive and come back. You need to have a lot of energy in yourself, enthusiasm in yourself, and the willingness to do something new and very innovative. It is a very innovative field. Now, there are many verticals under corporate communication. So, the verticals which come under corporate communication are external and internal communication, then media relation and intelligence, branding and marketing communication, business development and revenue generation. At times, now this business development or hardcore marketing, some organizations keep under corporate communication, and some organizations don't. So you will find, like for us here, the marketing does not directly come under us, but the communication package for the marketing comes under us. So all the revenue generation, like from the ATL and BTL activities, which is above the line and below the line, so all these comes under marketing, at times under corporate communication. Then you have events and exhibitions. Okay, these are all again external communication for branding. Then you have awards and senior management profiling. Okay, you have to work towards getting awards for your company. You have to keep a watch, which I'll come to. I'll do a detailed explanation later. Let me come to the pointers. Then you have, so after awards and senior management profiling, you have internal communication and employee engagement. Then you have social and digital media. Then you have network and advocacy. Then at times, at some organizations, you have investor relations, you have revenue generations, you have crisis communication. Now, corporate communication, so with all these coming under its umbrella, it is actually the reputation custodian for a company. Okay, so every individual, every entity, every company, every startups, everyone wants to have a good image. Okay, so the reputation of the company depends on how able the corporate communication department is, or they project it to the market or the external world or to the public at large. So they have a very, very crucial role to play. Now, many people might discourage you by saying that these are the soft skills and these are the corporate communication are just the facilitators. So they're really not the revenue generators. So not in the league of or in the organization with other departments. I would say that with corporate communication is one of the most crucial departments because it is the reputation custodian of the company. Corporate communication maintains, makes, and sustains the reputation, the good image of the company. So you can very well think how important it is for a company. So that is the reason corporate company nowadays. Earlier, many government organizations or many private sectors also never had this established corporate communication department. Maybe they had just a small PR department to have a liaison with the media, but slowly people have understand the importance and the value of corporate communication. So now almost all the PSUs, public sector undertakings, the government job, the government company organizations, the private organizations, even the the even MNCs, even the political parties, you will find they have their spokesperson. So spokesperson, actually they are the PR connect of that particular party or that organization or that MNC or that public sector for the public at large and media. So that is the importance of corporate communication, and every entity in today's date have understand the importance of keeping up a good image to the world, because that is what makes you a class apart. So it is very important. Now I'll come one by one for corporate communication. External and internal communication. Okay, so external communication, under it comes your releases, press releases, it your annual book, your book of records, your uh, your events and exhibitions, your any communication piece, any material which goes to the external world, anything you communicate externally, because you have internal stakeholders, you have external stakeholders. So anything, any communication, any message which goes to the external stakeholders, and stakeholders, external stakeholders can be your public at large, your media, government, anyone, so that is external communication. Internal communication is mostly for the internal stakeholders and employees. Now, one thing, please always remember and understand that employees are the best brand ambassadors for the company. When you take up this subject, you will understand that how important employees are for a company, because a company cannot run without employees. It is absolutely a must that you have very productive employees, very energetic employees, and very involved employees. So that is very important, qualitatively and quantitatively involved, which is very important. And that is how an organization grows. So internal communication. Now, media relations and intelligence. Media intelligence is nothing but your rapport with the media in the city where you are working, or even at times nationally or even internationally, depending on the size and the what to say, the turnover of the company, or the industry which the company is into. It depends. So you have international connections also. Now, one who is into media relations, they have to have a very sound knowledge of how to reach out to media to get your coverage when you're issuing a press release. Now, art of writing a press releases always typically should be one pager. Okay, it cannot be, it should not be 2 3 pages writing stories, because media don't have time. Your press release is not the only press release which the journalist or the editor is having on hand. Okay, in a day hundreds come. So your press release, what you intend to tell the public, should be captured in the first few lines, the first paragraph, the first few lines of the first paragraph. And most important, the right pitch should be there itself on the header and the subheader. So even at times, the what happens is, when you're sending a press release and what you want to say does not reflect on the header, the headline. So what happens? The editor or the journalist takes it and they say, it's not very important, leave it. Coverage is really not worth it. So what you want to say, the right pitch is very important to put it up on the header. Anything, in fact, forget a press release. Whenever you're writing anything, the very the fact, you should be very much clear in the very first paragraph itself. Not only media intelligence, what is media intelligence, and also with media relation, you should know first, if you are entering the this line media, so you should know, or corporate communication, so you should know how a media functions, how an electronic media, the channels, they function, how print media functions. Okay, which what are the hierarchy, who's the editor, who's the city editor, who's the business editor, what is the role of a business editor, who he or she reports to, how a story flows, which story, how a story is filed, how a story is listed. You must also know that in the desk, you will find at times very sensational headers. Those are mostly done at the desk. Maybe you didn't give it, but it is changed. Even the at times a reporter did not write it, but it gets changed there, because they, after all, they have to sell the newspaper. So they need to make the readers attracted towards the headline to read the news. So that is the reason they make it sensational. So you have to have a very very healthy relation with all these people, and this cannot happen over a day, but over the years it can happen, the relationship building. Also, when you're working in media relations, you must or corporate communication, you must always try to suppose some adverse situation has happened, some crisis has happened, or some negative news is flowing around the market, and then you need to communicate to media to tell the real story, to tell the fact. What you should ensure through your relationship is, maybe the story is right, though it is negative, it is it is a right story, they did not write anything wrong about your company. You must ensure that your quote, what you have to say is also printed. So what happens when a reader reads the story, picks up the newspaper and reads the story, they get a balanced idea. They hear from both the parties, what the media, the correspondent has written, and what the company has to say. So his the perception becomes little balanced instead of becoming completely negative. So that is very important, and this can happen through your media intelligence over the years. Then you Another thing you must develop through media intelligence is, if a correspondent or a reporter is writing a story about your company, you must get a call from that person that, hey, listen, I'm writing the story, would you like to comment anything? This is media intelligence. Okay, so you cannot tell a person that please don't write this story, because that is their bread and butter. Okay, as your company is not working by the likes and dislikes of the media, neither media will work at the likes and dislikes of you. So what happens is, at least through good relationship, healthy relationship, they call you and say, would you like to comment anything? That is exactly what a media relation is. Then holding a press conference also comes under media. Press notes, press releases. At times, if the company is listed to the stock market, first the news release should go to the stock market and then be released to public at large. So you have to ensure that first it reaches the stock market, and you have to be very particular about this news, because the stock market's ups and downs can happen about the company. The shares, the stocks can go up or come down based on that news which is in the press release. So it is very important that you inform the stock market and also project it the way that the stock market, the Sensex can be, at least not controlled. I would say that's not the right word, but at least it reaches them, and accordingly it is handled. So that is very important. Now, another thing comes under corporate communication, if I want to broadly explain, is branding and marketing communication. Now, branding is nothing but to sell the credibility of the company and the right existence of the company and the image of the company. Okay, when we say, it's a brand by itself, which means that they have developed their, credibility in the market. They have a goodwill. So that is about branding. Branding can be through many other ways. It can be, as I said, through your posters, your collaterals, your the creatives, your the hoardings, the any type of advertisements. Also, what you do comes under branding and marketing communication. Then even holding an event and going to an exhibition with your presentation, or opening creating a stall in an exhibition where you talk about the company and the company's activities, so that more you get more at times. I mean, I'll take consumer as a whole. Now you can take many buyers come, many customers come, customers use it. For our service industry, our main customers are since I work in metro rail, are the riders, the commuters who travel in metro. So any communication when I do, my first and most important focus is them, the commuters. So how I tell about the facilities of traveling in a metro, if there are offers, so to talk about them, and to say, and to also spread the image of my company being one of the uh, best, safest, the most, one of the neatest, cleanest, eco-friendly mode of transport. So I know what I have to pitch for myself, and how to bring the commuters to travel more in metro than other transport system. So, anything which you talk to the outer world is branding. Yeah? And marketing communication. At times, as I told you, that at times it is business development also and revenue generation. So above the line and below the line activities happen because they are responsible for generating revenue for the company. Like our marketing department for us, and they go to the they try to develop some offer packages. Then they develop, they create a tie up, a JVs, a JV joint venture with some company who can do their program, or to some tie up with some corporates for from for travelers who are metro travelers and working in that company, how they can provide transport so that all of them travel from whichever area they are in metro, and then develop a feeder system which is called last mile connectivity. So what happens is, suppose the entire corporate, okay, they tell their employees that if you travel in metro, we will provide you a free transport from these stations to the office. So naturally, our ridership grows, and even it's a good employee engagement for that company also, which is very, very important. So, this is in a nutshell about revenue generation. Now, events and exhibitions, I have already spoken. There are award events, there are employee engagement internal events, there are exhibitions, there are national platforms where you can send your senior management or responsible people to go and speak. So when a particular official is speaking, the person is not only taking himself or herself to the external world, but carrying the company also with them. Suppose today I am speaking to you as Anindita Sinha, head corporate communication of L&T Metro Rail Hyderabad. Now the responsibility is on me to ensure that I don't say anything which can tarnish the reputation of my company, which is definitely not acceptable. So when you're sending the person carries the image of the company also. So one must ensure that when someone is going and speaking at any external platform, not to divulge any information about the company which is not supposed to be told to the external world, or make any commitment on behalf of the company without the approval. So which is very important. If you're going in your personal capacity, you can go and speak on a subject, or if you're going and representing the company, you are supposed to say only the approved version of your presentation. So which is very, very important. Now another thing is awards. See, awards are nothing but recognition of the hard work, testimony to the best efforts and the hard work the employees have done. So it is very important. It also means that more hard work comes ahead, but it is very, very important. So as a corporate communication professional, you should be in lookout of many organizations who they create awards and they market awards, so to apply there, to see whether there is, at times they are free registration, at times they are paid registration. So you must see whether the amount what you're paying, is it a win-win for the company, is it really worth for the company to spend. Because if it is suppose a very huge registration amount, and the magnanimity of the award is absolutely nothing, so it's a waste of money. So you have to be very judicious about it, of your spend. So you should know that, okay, this award is very prestigious. Suppose golden peacock, it's a very important award. Whatever the registration amount is, it is worth the recognition which a company can get. So accordingly you have to pitch it. Now coming to the social and digital media. Now today we know that it is very important to be on social and digital platforms, because what a press release can do in in a couple of days, it can go viral on your social and digital media. So you have to have a good agency or a very good account manager in your in social in department, or if you are an account manager, you have to see how ORM works, online reputation management, how SEO works, search engine optimization. Okay, so online reputation is, you have to, there are many softwares which help you to collect any keywords which you type and keep it, you save it, like for Hyderabad Metro Rail. Anyone who types Hyderabad Metro Rail, or L&T Metro Rail. So I get all those information. So it depends on the software and the keywords which you keep typed, and you keep it. So and you get everything what the people are discussing about the company. So ORM, online reputation management, is very, very important in your social media, because as social media and digital platforms have many advantages, they have lot many disadvantages as well if you don't handle it very carefully, because then it can spoil the reputation of the company, tarnish the reputation and image of the company in minutes if you don't handle properly. So it is very, very important how well you handle it, how professionally you handle it. So online reputation management is very important. SEO is search engine optimization. There also you need to see that, suppose for me or for my department, we ensure that anyone who types Hyderabad Metro Rail or Metro Rail, to see that the Metro Rail, how best, in what best way the our website comes at the first top search number. So that is very important. That is all about SEO. Of course, it's a very detailed subject. How you do it again through a software. How many hits your websites are getting, which is important. Which means that how many people are visiting your website, and if you see the number of hits are very less, you need to think about it. That why, maybe you have to make it more pictorially strong. Maybe you have to be very crisp in your write-ups and descriptions. Now, so see, corporate communication is a blend of art and science. So why I'm saying blend of art and sciences, when I say art, it is the creativity part of it. How creatively you make a design, how creatively you make plan your branding. So it is very important how creatively you design your website or your media pages, or your hoardings, or your website pages, whatever. So that is the creative part of it. Okay, when you're writing a blog, how creatively you're writing about it. When you're writing a press release, it should be a blend of, again, creativity and strategy. Okay, so to make it more simpler, when you are writing a press release, the write up, how you're writing, the language part of it is the art, I would say. How you're pitching your news, which I explained, that it should be in the first paragraph, what exactly you want to say, what should be your pitch, what should be your header, what should be your subheader, what should be the quote of the spokesperson of the company. They are the strategies. When you make your department manual, corporate communication manual, so that is again a very, very strategical way of presenting. So if you write too much of ornamental English there, so the main intent or the main information gets lost. So no use writing that manual, because manual should be sort of a handbook where you can refer when you need to, which is of course approved by the senior most in an organization. So it has to be very, very pointers and a very crisp description about pointers. So when you're planning a website, now website again, it should be a blend of art and science. It cannot be totally only English jargons and brevities and semantics and all. No, it has to be actually the information, what information you want to pass on to the user of the website, who's coming and visiting your website, what you need to tell. So it neither should be hardcore practical or hardcore strategic or completely innovative, creative in write up. So it has to be a blend. Then all the social media handles. At Twitter, we know it has you young people are mostly on social media. You must know very well how to handle your social media pages. Okay, because I know it is the age, first of all, that you tend to be, telling the world what you're doing every time, but you have to be very, very careful about it. How, if it is mishandled, if the information reaches wrong people in the society, so what happens is your life can be at risk, your safety can be at risk, especially for ladies. I'm talking about here. I work very closely with our Cyber Commissioner in the, mm, uh, you know, for cybersecurity. So we know how many cases are coming. It is really at times very, very sad to know how people fall prey to, the cybercrime of offenders. They misuse. Suppose, many a times you'll check in. I am at so and so places. Please be careful, particularly ladies. Be safe. It is. I know out of excitement you want to say, but why don't you, even if you want to say, you say, but why don't you just, put it in a private privacy of only and later you can make it public when you are not at that particular place. So people who are maybe following you, which you don't even know, because at times you don't have privacy checks. It's open in the market. So about you. So your life is at risk, less risk. So it is very important for you to handle your social media handles carefully, and also the companies, because it just goes viral. It is very, very important for, especially for Twitters and all, it goes just viral. So if you are working in a corporate communication department handling the account of social and digital media, you have to be very intelligent in what you are posting. That is very important. Then there are blogs, podcasts, radio FMs, then TVCs, then OOH are the outdoor media. You see those hoardings and posters outside, they come under outdoor media. So all these comes under social media, social and digital platform, which corporate communication person handles, the account manager handles. Then comes network and advocacy. In today's date, social networking is very, very important. Again, as an individual, you have to be extremely cautious and careful about completely believing a particular person of what you're saying and what you're doing. To Don't make it public enough. Similarly, when you're working for the company, you should know the right person with whom you're interacting, so that people don't befriend you and take out information about your company. However, network and advocacy is very important, and the company keeps mostly senior people, not young people who have joined corporate communication. They keep relation, and that is a responsibility to keep relation with the industry bodies. Who are the industry bodies? Like FICCI, CII, ASSOCHAM, Federation of Chamber of Commerce, Trade and Commerce. So the relationship is very important. Why? Because industry bodies are the policy makers. So if you want to put forward a policy forward your process, really, really good at most of the times. Then relationship with the government and ministries, then corporate, also corporate relation and corporate affairs comes under it is also part of corporate communication. So all this listening part, keeping relation, it's a very, very crucial and important, very, very important role. So generally, senior people in corporate communication, they are in charge of it, not the junior people, because they need to learn more in life. Now, and also the senior people, through experience, they know what to talk and how much to talk. One thing, if ever you're taking corporate communication as your career, or to study it as a subject, please remember, more than what you say, you should know what not to say. And that is the key word to be successful in corporate communication, what not to say. Even in your personal life, individual life, what not to say should be mastered more than what to say. So, because it can damage the reputation of a company, it can damage a relationship in your personal life. Because when we talk, we don't think mostly. So, it is very important to see what you should not say, and then you can really be a successful corporate communication professional. Another vertical which comes under corporate communication is investor relations. Okay, investor relations is many companies, they need fund from banks and financial institutes or other investors. So basically, what corporate communication investor relation people do is they bring them together. Through an event or through some fundraiser program or through personal one-on-one meetings or through some investment summit where people, you must have seen many investment summit happening where your state government representatives, the government, they go to other countries to get funds. So there is a department called investor relation who uh, who works as a conduit. They liaison with the department, and they create that event, or they curate that event, and or they organize that event. Then revenue generation is another aspect which it comes at times under corporate communication, which I told you about marketing, about ATL and BTL activities. Another thing very uniquely which we do here is if you have an office space, suppose we have metro stations and trains. So what we typically do is we rent out them to production houses who makes short movies or commercials or whatever, and get earned revenue. So suppose our metro one, you must have seen many movies being shot at metro rail station, whether it's Delhi Metro or Mumbai Metro or Hyderabad Metro. So basically, the corporate communication department, they facilitate that shoot and earn revenue for the company through the movie shoots, which is very, very important for a corporate communication department to do, because they become self-sustaining. Okay, because it is a cost center. There are departments like HR, corporate communication, facility management. They are the cost centers. They don't earn revenues. But if you're innovative and creative, you can create an atmosphere where you can earn revenue as well, which makes the corporate communication department very important for the company, and also the revenue generator. Another very, very important aspect of corporate communication, and this does not come every third day, but when it comes, corporate communication becomes the most important entity in any organization, which is crisis communication. Crisis communication should be handled well. The corporate communication department should have a handbook or manual for crisis communication, and you should gauge crisis. You should assess crisis, that this company, suppose it's an it's an infrastructure company. If they have operational assets, what type of crisis can happen? So that should be the corporate communication head's role, to understand what sort of crisis can happen, and if they happen, of course you have to discuss with the concerned department. If they happen, what is the communication? Now the operation department may be handling the crisis, but what you're supposed to do, your role comes how to communicate about that disaster, about that crisis, to the public at large, so that the reputation itself becomes very, very important. Thank you. So it becomes very, very important. I'll tell you a small experience of 2011. When that time I used to work for Mumbai Airport, and I was the spokesperson for Mumbai Airport. So every company has a spokesperson, and during crisis, only that person should speak. The company should have very stringent rules that everyone should not speak during anytime, and especially during crisis. Only one person should address the public at large and speak to the media or public at large, because there should not be any distortion of information or different information flowing in. So that time I was a spokesperson for Mumbai Airport, and for 3 days the airport was shut because of one aircraft just falling into a pit. So when you're holding managing a crisis, and especially for like metro rail or airports, so what typically happens is you should have a media center which you need to activate in half an hour. It is very important. In half an hour, you should activate that media center, and from that media center, the information flow happens. So 3.5 days, I was sitting in that media center till the operation of Mumbai Airport started, and continuous flow of information. Again, what not to say was the idea, but not to hide the fact. So the information should be packaged in that way when you're talking to the press. So what happens is, typically if you keep on giving relevant and required, just the required information, but the information flow is constant, media does not get a chance to fabricate the news or write something of their own. They just give the statement of fact. So what happens, even if it is a crisis, communication is very important, and especially a senior person speaking to the external world or media is very important. Why? Then people get a sense of comfort and credibility. Okay, someone senior is speaking, so typically the MD and CEO of the company should come and address. Now, social media is very can be used in a very nice way. Immediately, the first statement should come out during crisis communication, that how good well you need to communicate, what to say, so that people get information instead of building all stories in their mind, which this is very important. So the inflow of information should go. Never hide fact in corporate in crisis communication. Never be completely vanish from the horizon during crisis communication, because then the snowball effect, negative, what happens, it cannot be anyway managed, or it cannot be, the repetition can be brought back. So crisis communication, again, it's a very very important aspect. One thing I must say, that if you are in corporate communication, you are supposed to make the brand of that organization, right? Even if it's your company. Now, you yourself have to be a brand to create a brand. Keep in mind, be a brand to create a brand. What is being a brand? That suppose, suppose Jacqueline here. Now, anything in expert chat happens, people first remember Jacqueline. Just hypothetical, I'm saying. Why? So that person has created her niche in the company, created her credibility in the company. So you must have seen that companies, some employees of the company, they are most sought of for. Okay, they are most sought for, and anything which happens first, the name comes. Ki, yeah, she or he can do it. Call him. Give the job to him. Give the job to her. Why? The person has made a brand of herself or himself. Okay, and this again happens over the years. It cannot happen just in a month after you're joining. You have to prove your credibility. Very very important. You have to create that space for yourself. You should have the right attitude. Okay, that is very very important. You should go beyond the scope of work to see how more you can deliver, how good a team player you are, not only just a worker, but a team player. Silo approach does not work well in any organization, and people don't see it in a very positive way. It's called keeping your cards to your chest. Never do that. Okay, so share information, but don't completely disclose all your cards. So again, a balance should be maintained. So you should be a team player, a team worker first, to create a positive image about yourself, that yes, the person works in a team, does not have a silo approach. It is very, very important. And then another thing is which is very important is, never feel discouraged about if you're submitting a presentation or a project and it is just turned down. Okay, it can happen. It can happen because ideas are perspectives are different from each other. We all think in different ways. So what we have to see is, whatever we produce should be in line with the vision and mission of the company. You have to be creative, no doubt about it. Think out of the box, but under the framework of the company's target, company's mission and vision. Failures are only nothing but the threshold to your next success. It depends how you are taking it. It just depends how you're taking it, nothing more. You have to accept failure, because the proverb that failures are the pillar of success. So it is just a stepping stone to your next success. Never feel crestfallen with a failure or a rejection of your proposal, or if your boss is saying, what nonsensical presentation you have made, please don't feel bad. There's always a scope to learn. There's always a scope to learn. So you must be very, very careful of seeing that how well you can utilize it. It is very, very important how best you can utilize it. So accordingly, the best, the way you utilize it, the you can take it as an opportunity to learn. So you learn and you create another presentation. But if you feel dejected, depressed, you cannot come out of it, then you are just losing time and losing your reputation. Always keep in mind. So more or less, that is all about corporate communication. If you said in the beginning that as students, you're in your comfort zone. Okay, so you know people around. When you are taking up a job, the atmosphere is completely new. The people are unknown to you. You don't know what they're thinking about you, what they're wanting from you. So what happens is, if you are well prepared with in a communication style, you start with sound and you forgive it and you fight it out and finish it. Office space is not that area. You have to be professional. You cannot be the same person who's at home in your office. Uh, there are different things you should learn while mm, this under campus to career. You should know what is goal setting, how to be goals, then preparation for interview, then what are the private jobs and startups and government jobs, then personal branding we have already spoken, then what is emotional quotient, then what is working together, which we spoke, and of course which is posh. Okay, another thing which comes under internal communication, I'm sorry, I just go back, I forgot to mention, is posh. Now every organization has made it, and it is mandatory for every organization to have a posh committee, to have an IC committee, internal complaint committee. Now it is nothing but a group of members headed by a presiding officer. Like in our organization, I'm the presiding officer for POSH. POSH means prevention of sexual harassment in at workplace. So any action, any word, any approach, if you feel incorrect and uncomfortable, you have the full right to go and meet your take it up with your POSH committee. If the organization is not hearing out your complaint, you have the full right to go up to even the state POSH committee. Every state has a internal committee now under for POSH. So it is nothing but to provide a safe and working environment for employees, especially ladies. At times you feel intimidated, you don't go, you feel people will come to know. No, but as per the posh guidelines, every information has to be kept extremely confidential. If it comes out by any posh members, they can be taken up by the court of law. If the complaint is not handled properly, any they are being uh, uh, they are being told that consequence can happen and they get scared, it can be taken up by the court of law. So Posh is such an important entity. So when you join an organization, especially for the newcomers, it is very important to know your rights. So it is then. What happens is, you work with a free mind, and even if you need to work late and late at work, you need to be safe. So that is the whole intent of working to know the posh. Diversity is also important, which is under internal communication they propagate. Diversity, it means irrespective of race, religion, gender, people, everyone should be treated in with equal importance. It is very, very important. So all these, if it is violated, a person can and should have the gut to take it up with the senior management. And if they also don't hear, you can always address the state body. So these are the very important, aspect. Now, when for when you enter a corporate, few things you have to keep in mind, that you need to direct your thoughts in desired channels. Because you come with many fresh ideas, maybe, but they are very disoriented. You don't know what the company is looking at for you. So first you must know what the company is looking from you, why you are hired in that company. Now you're not hired in that company only because you're needed for the department. Fine, you are needed for the department, but what you're supposed to do? Okay, so direct your thoughts in desired channels, then crystallize your own thinking, indicate your present position on the road to success. It is very important. What is your position and how you're going to succeed in it. Then you have to see that what your destination is, what you're looking at from that office or you're looking at from your career. So you have to channelize your life towards it, that through a strategy, through a plan. So these are very important, and always have a very, very positive mental attitude. It is very, very important that you have a positive mental attitude. Now, this is very important. Now, when you are preparing for an interview, okay, few things you must always understand is that when you are writing your resume, okay, never write, again, as I was explaining in press release, please, the resume should only stick to one page. It is very, very important. Okay, and don't try to give stories. Don't try to write about your religious beliefs. Don't write to about your individual, because they are your individual self. Okay, so you need to work on your individual self to be a very good professional. These two things go hand in hand. Please try to understand. So what you are now, you need to develop yourself into a better individual to be a better professional, because the individual self has a lot of manifestation, a lot of impact on your professional career also. Because how you behave, okay, it depends, it can create an impact on how you are presenting yourself or your work at work, which is very important. So you have to develop yourself to be a better individual, to be a better professional. This is very, very important. So when you are preparing for an interview, first of all, coming to the resume part, it has to be, your the basic details of it, and a short cover letter or a description. In the first paragraph itself, the interviewer should come to know about yourself, that how what he is looking at. He is not looking at Anindita Sinha, where what she how she looks at the first create impression is very important, but then that time in his mind, it is not Anindita Sinha. but an employee who can deliver the work what for which he or she is being recruited. So very importantly, in a very crisp way, describe yourself, that in a way, in the first paragraph itself, that how able or capable are you to deliver the job for which you are facing the interview. That is very, very important. Okay, so you can write the from where you have studied, the year of passing out, the certifications. It should be very crisp and to the point. It should be almost like a bullet points, so that heading, 2 3 bullet points, heading to 1 or 2 bullet points, so the interviewer can save a lot of time, not to going into all the stories what is written in resumes or CVs or biodatas. Okay, it has to be one pager and very neat and crisp. Neatness, I don't mean you're spilling your ink and all, but the reading itself should be very, very neat, that it gives a very positive impression. Then facing the interview board, you have to be very clear about what you're wearing. You don't have to wear expensive clothes, but don't wear clothes which you wear and go to your friend's birthday party, something like that. It has to look professional. It has to be very sober color and sober looking. Now, yes, you can say that fields like advertising and all, you will find people entering in Hawaii chappals and Bermudas and all. That's a different world altogether. If you're entering advertisement, you can get away with it. But if you're entering a corporate, you cannot wear jazzy looking clothes and bright colors for an interview. You have to look very, very decent and very sober. The the price of the your attire does not matter, but the wrinkles in your attire matters. If it's crisply ironed, positively it impacts. So you should dress yourself very well. When you're walking in, you have to be very confident while walking in. Never drag your footwear, never drag your slippers while walking. So, if you really see why I was saying that you need to develop yourself an individual to be a ace professional, because all these you need to practice in your private life also. Many people have the habit of walking by dragging their footwear. It is taken to be considered to be a very, very, what to say, um, uh, unprofessional way of presenting yourself. Okay, you should, many people, if you have seen, you can hear the screech of the sandal while walking. It's extremely unprofessional, if I may say. So why individual self? If you're doing it in your college, please don't do it. If you're working in your home, at your home, like that, please don't do it. So that while working, you can be a razor sharp professional when you're entering. When you're entering the interview board, you should look razor sharp. You should look confident. You should not fumble. Many people have an idea that if they present themselves to be very shaky and very scared and very vulnerable, that they out of sympathy they'll get the job. It's a very, very wrong notion. People, unfortunately, that's why I'm saying that professional world is something very, very different. There is no scope for any that quote unquote goodness about it. So you have to be better than the candidates next and the candidates before. So because if the post is one and suppose hundreds are applied for it, how can you be different? How can you get the job? So you have to be the best. So you can call it healthy competition, but that's the reality. So when you are walking, you have to walk with a smile on your face and confidently. And I'm sure they would say that, please have your seat. Thank you, sir. You see, never, extend your hand, especially during this corona, unless the other person, the interviewer, they extend their hand. If you see they have not extended their hand, please don't go overtly, overboard and extend your hand. You can always do the Indian gesture of namaste. So don't have to go and shake your hand unless the the person, if he or she wanted, they would have extended their hand for a shake. But if they are not doing it, which means the person is not interested or doesn't like out of a hygiene. So don't do that. So sit down. Never sit with crossed arms. It means little casual and also very nervous and guarded. Never, shake your legs or tap your feet. It gives a very wrong signal. So sit properly, and whatever they ask you, give crisp answers to it. Never say and never pretend or never write in a resume that I will do anything for this job. I'll give my best if I get this job, because what you do, the it will be proven later, and the interviewers are not fools not to judge you properly. So don't have to go overboard by with your emotion. Just give very neat answers, crisp answer. If you don't know anything, please ask, for I mean, you just say, I'm really very sorry, I'm not really aware of this. Don't try to give make up your answers which is completely irrelevant from what they're asking. So which means they will know about your nature, that this person can bluff, so not fit for the job. So you have to be truthful. uh, you don't have to say everything. Suppose they ask you that what are your weaknesses. Now there also you have to play very very intelligently. You cannot say something, you completely open up your heart and say, oh, these are my weaknesses. No, the weaknesses also should be told in an intelligent way. So that you have to keep in mind. So what you speak, how you present yourself in that particular 10 minutes depends whether you are fit for the job. And please try to understand, when the interviewer is not only taking you considering you for a short term basis, because lot of process, lot of money, time investment goes behind a recruitment. So when the recruitment is happening, the person, the person is being taken to be to retain in to be retained in the organization. Okay, so it's a long term planning, so they will uh, try and test you. So that is where you need to prepare yourself for the interview. Go well prepared, well informed about your subject and the company. And if suppose a metro rail, I am expected to know about what is happening in the industry, the railway industry or the metro industry. So go well studied, go well informed, go confident. Don't think it is your you're talking to your parents or your siblings or your friends. It is a completely professional approach which you should go with. It means a lot. That is how you should prepare. Another thing is the emotional intelligence. Now, of course, one sec, sorry. So emotional intelligence is also very very important. What typically happens is when you're going and you're joining a job. Now we all have heard earlier that the person has a lot of IQ. Nowadays, it has been proved that EQ, emotional intelligence, it's outsmarting IQ. Okay, so it is about your knowledge, skills, intelligence, emotions, how good and bad. Then how you can it is basically the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions. So as I said, that you cannot react or behave in the same way as you're doing at your personal life. So you have to manage your emotion. You have to be very very particular about talking, speaking, the usage of words when you're in office. What The way you talk with your friends, you cannot do it at work. Because suppose you say something, even when I was discussing posh, suppose you pat your friend at your back and you talk, or you just hug your friend, or just keep a lightly your arms on the shoulder and talk. You cannot do it in office. You cannot, even if it's a close colleague, because maybe that person is not feeling comfortable about it. If you're using some term, maybe it's not an abuse but a little informal or slang term with your friends, You cannot use that at work. So what you talk, it is very, very important. And there, through your emotional intelligence, it will help you to scale up your qualities and make you fit to situation. That will help you to be a leader, because whenever you're joining an organization, okay, you should have some aim in life, that I will be reaching here in so many years, and I will be a leader. Okay, so so some, as they say, the leaders are born. She's a born leader. It's not a she's a born leader, but she or he has developed himself, herself in herself or himself some leadership traits through knowledge and ideas, willingness to learn, flexibility, speed, adaptability, deal with changes, agility. So these all factors come under emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-control, self-emotional reasoning, expressing emotions, how you express yourself at work, how you sit at work, how you behave at work, how you're walking at work, that people see you with a lot of respect. It is very, very important uh, at work. So these all coming together, working with team, not having a silo approach, all these are extremely important to be a very good leader. Now, the last part of the discussion, I'll come, then you can throw questions. All that is count is right attitude. It is very, very important. And when I say right attitude, it means what? I'm sure many of you know, for people who do not know, attitude means the right attitude means giving your best. Take the word attitude and take the numerics of the letters of the word attitude, like A as 1. If you add as per the numerics of the letters, you will see it equals to 100. So right attitude means that giving your 100%. And now you can always say what is right. Right and wrong are perspectives. So at times maybe you have given your best, you thought, but when you take up the proposal to your boss, she or he just turns it down. And you feel extremely dejected. I have given my right, 100% still. You have given your 100%. Keep in mind, you have given your 100%. But is it that 100% what was expected from you? That you have to see. So when you're giving your 100%, it has to be in the within the framework of the thought process of the company, of that organization, of the target it is kept in mind, the mission and vision. So there has to be a marriage between your giving 100% and what is expected 100% of you. Then it is a success. So attitude is nothing. It is, how, it means to large extent, anyone's style, character, personality. You have to, one's individual approach towards life. And there you have to develop yourself as a better individual to be a better professional. As I spoke about personal branding, you have to develop your reputation. You have to develop your credibility in the company to be an ace professional. I mean, of course, I'm sure that everyone would, when you're joining office, should go with a very optimistic mind that I'm joining this organization, I'll work my best and I'll get this and I'll get that. So don't go with only one-sided approach. You must also think about the company's approach. You are not the only employee. There are many employees in the company. So you cannot be treated separately, because at home maybe you are treated separately, especially people, youngsters who are single child. I'm also a single child. Okay, so when I left the comfort of my home and I joined an organization, I used to think I'll be treated separately, because that is what I was treated at home and with all my relatives. I was extremely pampered, and then my eyes opened. So never expect to be treated separately. You are another employee. You will be treated in a more professional way, and your name will be taken when you prove yourself through work. Nothing more. If you are dressing very well, or you're speaking very well, and you're not performing as you are expected to, no one will treat you in a very different way, or you can get away with it. It does not happen. So this is very important. Right attitude towards work is extremely important, because attitude covers 360 degree of you, in personal life as well as professional life. Please keep in mind. And always when you are setting a goal, when you have, of course, everyone should have a goal in life, even in your professional life, personal life. Everyone can have a goal, should have a goal, right? Always remember, don't have blank goals, bleak goals. Goals you have, but you should have the goals that are very defined. So basically we say that always, and we also follow that we have smart goals. One should have smart goals. What are smart goals? Smart goals doesn't mean that the you're being very modern about in your outlook. No. Smart goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So you should know what your goal is. Be very specific about it. Don't give very open-ended thing. "Acha, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. Okay, whatever works, I'll do. That will be my goal." No, you have to be very specific about it. You have to measure. I have this goal. So within this within this number of years in my profession, I will reach there. Suppose you join as an executive. So if you have a goal that I have to be a leader of my team, so you should say, okay, in next 3 years, I will be a senior executive or a manager. So in this way, you have to be very specific about it, measurable. You should know how to do that. Okay, you should know, suppose you should know the promotion policy in your organization. Now you keeping defining yourself that, okay, in 3 years, in 2 years, I will be a senior executive, whether the company policy doesn't even say that you can get a promotion in 2 years. So accordingly, you have to measure your goals, that in how many years I am supposed to reach there, or I'm supposed to do that project. Attainable, how do you do it? Pointers, in very specific pointers. It's like grammar, it's like mathematics. You should be knowing that how to attain there, how to attain this goal, how to reach that goal. You have to write down. Okay, you can always change as time takes you, but you have to be writing. You should be writing down. Then it should be relevant. It relevant means your goals in your organization should be in line with the company's policies and mission and vision and target. So it should be relevant. You cannot create your completely own separate goals which has no relation with the company's policy or targets or mission and vision. Next is timely. Timely deliverable is very important, when most of the people uh, they falter, because you have the goals but you don't have a deadline. Meeting deadline is very, very important. It is like keeping up your commitment. So it is very, very important. Always try to uh, stick to your deadline, which is very, very important. So you should link your objectives to business. You have to be aware, keeping abreast with what is happening around about your company, on the industry. Be well read. Own up your work. Owning up your work is very important. As I was speaking on teamwork, you should feel that, yes, this is my work. It is not just I have to do it and I deliver it. Okay, so you have to own up the work. You have to track progress qualitatively and quantitatively, whether my progress matrix is going smooth, where I need to improve. Because you cannot be without any, it's just so, perfect professional always, right? So you have to see qualitatively and quantitatively your progress. You have to uh, you have to measure, which is very important. So another thing, you can do as a self assessment in management. They teach Johari window. Johari window is nothing but to understand yourself and others. So there are four quadrants, which says open self, hidden self, blind self, and mystery self. So open self is what you know about yourself, and what people know about and what people know about you. Hidden self is what you know about yourself, but people don't know about you. And this is the point where the small tussle starts. Then blind self, you don't know many things about yourself. Even today's date, if you think that you know everything about yourself, you are completely wrong. And that you will come to know if you do self introspection. I tell this to all students: please devote me time to you. Me time means introspection time with only yourself. No one should be around. You will be talking to yourself, and you will come to know that there are many things you don't know about yourself. So blind self is unknown to self and known to others. You don't know, but others know about you. Oh, no, because they're seeing you. They're seeing your reactions, your emotion, how you're emoting, how you're reacting, how you're talking, how your body language you're presenting, how you're behaving. Okay, so they know certain things about you which you don't do it because you're not in front of a mirror. You're just talking to someone. And the mystery self is unknown to self and unknown to others. So that aspect you can just keep it for later because you're too young. So this quadrant helps you to understand yourself, self introspect yourself. And these, please don't think them, whatever I'm saying is irrelevant. These all, if you keep in mind, will come into use when you enter a profession, enter the professional world. Ego, you have to have control on your ego. When I talk about emotion, ego. Okay, so it is very, very important. It is not bad to have not bad to take risk in life, but you have to take calculated risk. That okay, I'm taking this risk, but knowing that it can have some adverse effect, and I should be prepared if it fails. So you have to take risk, but take uh, you know calculated risk. It is very important. If you have lack of confidence, it can lead to fear. Constructive fear, fine, use the fear to perform better. It's nothing bad in it. Everyone cannot be the most confident person. I myself, I mean, maybe some other day I'll tell my life story. I mean, it's really amazing how I had to fight my fears and fight the demons in me, and then come up to wherever I am. So it is not necessary that everyone will be born equal, right? So there has to be personality difference from individual to individual. It is your duty. It is, first of all, your outlook, what you're looking from life. And then accordingly, you have to mold yourself. Lastly, on attitude, it is my very favorite quote, and I really think it worked wonders. Many students give me feedback that it really acts, ma'am, and so I want to share with you also. Your talent determines what you can do. Everyone is born with some talent. You hone it later, but everyone is born with some talent. Your talent determines what you can do. Your motivation determines how much you're willing to do. Please remember, there cannot be a better motivator than you yourself. No one can motivate you better than you can motivate yourself. So, your motivation determines how much you're willing to do, but your attitude determines how well you do. So it's all about how well you do a certain thing, and that can only come with right attitude. I will end it here, and I'm open for question and answers. Is Jacqueline there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Yeah.
So, ma'am's here for another 20 minutes. Ma'am, like, has, been really, grateful to us. Really, we are really grateful for you, ma'am, for taking out this time. And she'll be here for another 20 minutes. She has a super packed schedule. So, any questions, anyone? as to want to know about more about ma'am, and how did things happen, and like how did she reach where she is, or how could you go about in corporate communications, what should you study and things like that. Any questions, please shoot, okay, because she'll have to rush.
Yes, ma'am. May I ask a question?
Yeah, please
Yes,
do.
yes, please go ahead.
So, ma'am, when you talked about Johari window and when you talked about self introspection and to know about what our qualities are, and so is there any other way other than self introspection to know how what are our qualities that we don't know? So, can you
Of
please
course,
explain?
you can talk to a confidante, you can talk to your mom, you can talk to your dad, you can have a very open talk with your siblings or the best friend you have, who can who will not just please you, who will give you a very constructive who can give a constructive criticism, and you have to make it clear that, or if any faculty you really feel that you can completely open up your heart and mind. So you can, it can happen. I personally feel that no one can cheat to his or own conscience. So when you speak with yourself, you can be completely opening up. You have to throw questions. Otherwise, definitely you can ask for constructive criticism, and you have to explain that you have to be very professional in approach while even talking to your suppose parents. You have to make them sit, that I'm looking at a session from you, or your best friend, I'm looking at a session from you. Sit, and this is sort of an interview. Okay, it's not that only you are you have to please me. Please don't please me. I want constructive criticism with an intent that I want to make myself a better professional or better individual. So, and then throw questions and also ask them, maybe give them a day's time, that you prepare some questionnaire for me. You ask me, and also make them very comfortable that whatever you say will be taken in the right spirit. Please don't think that I'll get annoyed, because I am doing this for myself and you are doing this for my betterment. So you, and also you should have the open mind of taking it in a very positive way, and you have to make them believe that I will take it in a positive way to to improve myself, and don't go to argue there. Argument can happen later when you're sitting with them for this feedback session. How it is done with counselors, you can go to many professional counselors also. Okay, there are many professional counselors, but just choose the right one. Some are just to mint money and do nothing. So choose a very very qualified, and who is into the profession for a long time. So when you take the feedback, immediately don't react, please, even if it's the worst something telling about you. Maybe it is true. You don't know about yourself. The others know, as the Johari window says, the second quadrant, hidden self. So don't react. Later on, you try to explain to you, or talk to them later, that why do you think this? Because I think this way. Then maybe they will say, no, you think, but this is so and so, or the incident, such incidents happened. And that this is how it went wrong. So be very open to criticism, and don't argue right at that time, but think over it. It may be that something they know wrongly about you. It can also happen, which you didn't mean to. Maybe the communication went wrong, because most of the things go wrong in an office, in career, or in personal life is miscommunication. So maybe the communication went wrong. So there can be many reasons for it. Maybe you are not the person as the person think you are, but it went wrong for some certain reason. Okay, so even they can be wrong. It's not that they will be 100 always right and you are wrong. No, nothing like
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. And how do you maintain the balance between your professional life and your personal life? And having said the coronavirus, and we are all stuck at our home and working from home.
that. Personal and professional life. Oh, I think it is not only it is not only for Corona, but at least I'll speak for myself. Now, at back at home, I have two sons. So my husband and two sons. Okay. In our house, we have nothing called a man's work or a woman's work, first of all. I think that is something, this culture should be built in at every household, because still in Indian society or many societies, as if kitchen is only for women, going to work is only for men. Okay, even if women go for work, still the kitchen is only for them. I think slowly it will happen, but I can give you my example, and how I'm being able to maintain a work-life balance, because I go to innumerable sessions. I do many things. Now, okay, I love cooking also. That is in my advantage or my family's advantage. I, I am into recitation. I'm into dramatics. I'm into dance. I'm the chairperson of CII. I'm the co-chair for. I have lot many external activities. Similarly, my husband does. My sons do. How? It is the only reason is all of us work together at home. There is no work in our house which is called it's a woman's work or a man's work. Even if I can cook, they can cook. If I can clean the room, they can clean the room. If I can put the clothes, hang on the clothes on the line, they can do it, and they do it. So whatever in our house, which makes my life very comfortable, and it's completely a balanced atmosphere at home. And since this was already practiced much before, so in lockdown we had absolutely no problem. All of us were working, and none felt none felt tired, or none felt anything different or strenuous, because this culture was already there in my house. I'm fortunate enough that they also accept the fact.
That's great, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Ma'am, Roshan has some question for you on chat.
Please go ahead. Oh, chat, can you read them out?
Yes, so he says, it was amazing listening to you. My question is that while communicating, do we need to use difficult words or fancy words which are difficult to understand, or we should keep or communicate simple and straightforward? Because usually people judge if you don't, you don't have great English vocab.
Okay. Communication should be two ways, both ways, right? A successful communication is only when you say something and the person understands. So you should only communicate what the person understands. Now, first of all, if you're mugging up those words, brevity in language is good, but if you're just mugging up and you don't even know the essence of it, because English words, one word can have many connotations. So rightly the applicability of that particular word also depends. It's not only the dictionary meaning of it. So if you really believe that word, don't then only use it. And I think uh, if you can master communicate English communication, or whatever language you are, if you can master the art, you don't have to remember words. Okay, it will flow naturally. Also, you have to see whom you're speaking to. That is very important, whether the person is equally proficient. Like, if you suppose someone speaks to me in Telugu, I will not understand. Okay, now whatever so the best uh, of Telugu someone speaks, I will not understand. Even Urdu, if someone speaks with me in Urdu is considered to be one of the best languages. I will not understand all the languages, so it's all in vain. So it does not, you necessarily don't have to use go for brevity and semantics and jargons and fancy English. You just have to communicate what you think, what you have prepared yourself for, to the person, for the purpose of it being done. Period. You really don't have to use fancy language and jargons. It means nothing if the main pitch of the communication is missing.
Yes, Rachita, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Jacqueline. Hi, ma'am. Firstly, thank you so much for joining us today and taking
Hi, your
time.
voice is breaking. Your
Can
voice
you
is
hear,
breaking.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can.
Yes. Firstly, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today. Taking
Pleasure,
time out of your schedule.
pleasure, pleasure.
Um, yeah, that was very informative for most of us here. So, I have a couple of questions. So, the first one is, as a business student, how would someone build a career in corporate communication from scratch?
As a business student,
Yes. Like, is there
see,
a way for
yeah.
me
So
to career in corporate communication?
yeah. So again, see. Now I joined. I started my career in operations. Okay, in Kolkata airport. So then I moved to corporate communication. Now you should know what you're looking at from life. Which how I said that you have to define your goals, SMART goals, SMART. So why I changed from operations to corporate communication, because the subject interested me. Now, why, if you are a business student, why are you studying business? First, I would like to ask you that. Maybe you have something in mind. If you're doing your MBA, you have something in your mind. So, what is your specialization? Why you want to do it? Why are you studying it in the first place? And suppose a subject interests you, you can always change your line. And starting from the scratch, you have to then you have to maybe start studying mass comm. Even if you're not studying mass comm, you can, with your work, maybe you have joined an organization after your MBA, you can always do some correspondence course or those executive courses, and then you can slowly enter. Now you have to enter as an intern or an executive in corporate communication, and then learn the process slowly. I also started from scratch, and please understand that I did not start from scratch at a very young age like you. I entered corporate communication when I was already a mother of one son, but that interested me. So ultimately, I thought, no, I mean, of course, operations I loved. Why I joined airport was I loved operations. When I then felt that this area is very innovative, and as a personality, I don't like to do one thing day after day and after day. I'm a little impatient in that. I want newness in my work because I'm a very over enthusiastic and energetic personality. Now, again, I'm saying it differs from personality to personality. So I thought this to be the most vibrant and energetic, and like you have to be alert 24/7. It gives a kick. So that is the reason I transited. So you should know what you're looking at from life. If you're liking corporate communication, you have to move to corporate communication, and you have to start from the scratch.
Yes, ma'am. So as I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, what interested me the most was how you went on from business development to operations to corporate communication. So how was that transformation from one vertical to another? How, like, was it difficult? Was it like a lot of learning?
Nothing in profession is difficult, nothing in profession is stressful if you love your subject. Even in your course, I'm sure that you have many subjects. One is more stressful because you don't like that particular subject, and some subject you are extremely thorough at because you love that subject. So if you love your job, many people say that corporate communication is very stressful because especially media dealing, trust me, it becomes very strenuous at times, because when I was in Mumbai and I was a spokesperson, uh, and Mumbai, if you any of you all are from Mumbai, you know the monsoon in Mumbai from July it starts and goes on and on and on. So most of the nights I could not sleep because media used to call how many flights diverted, how many. Now, it all depends how you love your job. If you love your profession, it won't be stressful for you. One thing I must tell you while choosing your career is It is always good to pursue your dreams, but please do it with your feet grounded. You must always strike a balance, and this is my personal outlook in life. You should always choose a profession which can give you happiness, at the same time can give you money. My dear friends, all of most of you all, I mean, today are single child or sibling, just have another sibling, most of you all. And the parent, we as parents, we try to give the best to you all. So you are used to a certain lifestyle, or you want a better lifestyle. Even if you're not having a very good lifestyle, unfortunately, because all the economic condition of all the families are not same, especially during pandemic. It is really so I mean, it just pains to think about it. So you want a better lifestyle, so please be practical to choose a profession which you like, which you enjoy, which you will enjoy, at the same time will give you a decent money, which you want from life.
Yes, ma'am, that was insightful. Thank you. One last question. So, what is the role that AI is currently playing in the field of mass communication, in
What
the
is
field
the
of
what is the role
communication?
of
Artificial intelligence, is it playing a very important role in this particular field?
AI? AI can be like, in airport, in Mumbai airport, we had a lot of AI. Agencies we had called to for spot locator. So it depends in which industry you are in, and if the budget is there. If it's a big turnover company, you have the budget, but not all companies have that budget or the necessity for it. So it depends which industry, which company you are working with, and with how much scope of AI is there to be implemented for that particular thing. Airport, it definitely it worked with us, but not everything we could do because of the badge budget, because it's a big budget item, ticket item. So it depends. Corporate communication, they definitely can bring I mean AI into any area. They can suggest, or they can put up the proposal, but it all depends on the necessity of the company. Now, whether the company needs it, or not every company would like to invest on AI. They don't need it. Okay, the type of work which they do. So at present, for our metro, we don't need AI to be implemented right now, and neither we have the budget. Because for almost 6 months the metro was shut, and we financially we are in under a lot of stress. So it all depends. But yes, it can be brought in.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Yeah, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. It was great listening to you. My question is that are there any certain rules we need to follow while communicating, like when we are representing a brand, or we are communicating from a side of an organization? Are there any rules we need to follow? Like we can
Uh,
be a little informal when we are on social media platform, and we need to be little formal when we are using PR.
you have to be absolutely formal. You have to be absolutely formal. There is no scope to be casual, or being very thinking it to be a homely atmosphere when you are going ahead and speaking during crisis. You have to be absolutely crisp. You have to be truthful. Now, truthful doesn't mean you have to go and divulge all information. As I said, that you should be first you should be mastering the art of what not to say. That is the key word. So you have to be only one person should speak as a spokesperson, and it has to be fact based. It should not, the statement should not have any falsehood. No one should lie about it. And just the amount of information you need to disclose, do that. And also speak how much you really need to, because in the time of crisis, the perception is completely negative, And it should for and another thing is very important during crisis is if the company really went under a crisis which happened due to their fault, apologize. The most important thing is I apologize. Senior management should come forward and speak, because it gives a credibility to the organization. Senior manager should come own up the crisis. If I mean not right at the beginning, because there are investigations done at some following the crisis. So first give a statement you call a holding statement, which gives just the information what happened, and then slowly you come out with information flow. Make it constant so that people media don't already start fabricating stories. So when you are issuing a statement, so there is absolutely nil chance for anyone to frame up their own stories, because 10 media will be writing what you're saying, and one media cannot just go and write anything negative. So please don't open your cards right at the beginning. Just the holding statement should go what happened, when it happened, and investigations are on, you can always say. And later on, if you see that yes, you need to own up, the someone senior, the official spokesperson should come and first apologize, be on the site or on the social media, give a open message that this has happened and we're really I mean, and compensation and all that comes later as the situation happens. So you have to be very particular of not to say, and very crisp and less words and more actions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here and sharing your valuable insights with us all. Thank you so much for that. So, ma'am, my question is, are there any tools which we can use to determine the crisis communication?
No, no, there are no tools as such, but then there are manuals. You can, do take many case studies as examples. You can develop your own manual, and you can always. One thing which I mentioned in my talk also, that you have to see what is the business of your company, and what can be the potential risks. So accordingly you can be prepared with suppose, god forbid, okay, we are running a metro, god forbid any accident happen, because it can happen, right? So I know that these are the potential risk and threats of my business. And if number one happens, this is my strategy. Number two happens, this is my strategy. You can do well research from different case studies across the world of particularly your business, and create a manual. But in my experience, what I have faced is in real time scenario, it is customized, so but keeping a manual handy is definitely one corporate communication department should have. Like you should have a brand manual, you should have a media manual, like you should have a crisis communication manual also.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Any more questions, anyone?
If anyone has any questions later on, Jacqueline, you can always send it to me, no issues.
Yes, yes. Ma'am, thank you so much. Like it's almost 2 hours of your time that you shared with us today. Like, thank you for being so selfless and, being out there for all these kids out here. So thank you so much, ma'am, for joining this initiative, first of all.
Thank you.
And
And
definitely, like,
once again, I apologize for joining late. I'm sorry. I got a little late.
no, ma'am, that's totally fine, ma'am. And any questions from their end, I'll definitely share it with
Do
you.
it.
And
Please.
yeah, and we hope, like, based on their inputs and stuff, if in further we get to chance to do this again, right?
Yeah, sure. It can be some different subject or crisis communication as a whole,
Yes, yes,
completely
yes,
different
yes,
subject.
yes.
If people are into this subject,
Right.
and I wholeheartedly, I wish all the students here all the best in their career. Please one thing, keep in mind that you should definitely be hard work. There is no substitute to hard work. Never cheat on your work, and success will be yours. Be humane. Being humane is one of the most important aspects in today's date. Be very passionate for your work. If you are passionate towards your work, I think you will enjoy your work and you have a flourishing career in whatever you do, whether Corp, Com, or anything. Strike a balance, as I said, between practicality and passion. Uh, all the best to you anytime you need to reach me. Send in your queries. I'll try to do my best. Thank you so much.